Welcome to Observing with Webb for February of 2021, where a high school astronomy teacher tells you what you're looking at, why it's so cool, and what you should check out later this month at night. And February for this year is not too exciting, but it does get exciting toward the end of the month. We have a 3-planet conjunction. We also have some very long nights still. They're getting shorter, but they're still long. And we've got Orion making up the dominating the night sky. So we've got a great month for observing some constellations, which I will take some time and really dive into at the end here. So with that, don't forget to check out this podcast as a podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes, and Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to look Mr. Webb PV and PV Planetarium, but let's just go on with this. And let's start with the planets. All right, so what planets can we see at night this month? Well, basically the big one for the month after sunset is Mars, which you see up there, off in the south and actually about 2/3 of the way up the sky. It's technically right below Aries, if you can find that, but really I'd be looking for Taurus and looking to the right of that and finding the red, ruddy Mars. It's up there until about midnight for the entire month. And yeah, just a good one to check out. Now, throughout the night, there is quite literally nothing. So we're going to have to go forward in time. I'll keep going. Let's see, 1:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the... Oh, man. Now, Venus, yeah, you might be able to catch it for the first month. Okay, or for the first week of the month. See how low it is right there as the sun is starting to rise. See, Venus every day is getting a little bit lower and closer to the sun. And, oh boy, there's a whole mess there. We'll get to that later. But Venus, you might be able to catch the last glimpse of it. And you won't be able to get another one until April. Okay, so Venus is in the southeast in the mornings, but maybe just for the first week. But you saw that stuff that was going on there. Let me fast forward, and you start seeing, let me zoom in. Whoa, let me zoom in too. There's the sun. It's far too bright at that point to see anything. But you see Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, they're all sort of hanging out there together. But this isn't nighttime, so we got to get a bit earlier and then keep going a couple days. In fact, let's go to February 21st. There we go. Now we've got... Well, Venus is technically there, but you can ignore that. It's going to be far too bright for that. But we can see Jupiter, Mercury, and Saturn in the mornings starting the last week of February. Okay? Saturn and Jupiter just came out of their conjunction with the sun. Remember, they were evening planets. Now they're going to be morning planets and make the year-long, well, year-ish long trek across the sky. And Mercury is right here as well. Basically, if you want to see these 3 planets, you want to get out there probably, you know what, I'm not even going to say, maybe starting like the 23rd. You want to get out there after 6 a.m., maybe even after 5:45, just so that you can definitely get out there. But before sunrise, which is about 6:45, and go out there and see if you can find it. It's going to be really low on the horizon, as you can tell. In fact, if I zoom out, you can see they are very, very low. But what you can see, Jupiter will be the brightest, Saturn will be up and to the right, and Mercury will be sort of in between them, making a nice little triangle. All right? In fact, let's see what happens throughout the couple of days that this happens. 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, and you might even be able to catch it for a few days after that, but the sun really catches up to them, okay? So there it is, Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn. If you've got a nice clear horizon, make sure there's no mountains in the way, and also make sure there's no clouds. You have to have a really clear morning to see this. So once again, Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury in the morning, last week, and then all throughout the month, Mars is up in the south after sunset.
And a bunch of other stuff. And a bunch of other stuff. And a bunch of other stuff.
Events for February start with the moon, and That's actually most of the events, but we start off the month with a waning gibbous, which is when it's mostly lit, rising later at night. But then on the 4th, we have a last quarter moon. The left half is lit up, and you can see it only from midnight into the morning. The next week, we've got morning crescents, along with a new moon on the 11th. That's when we can't see it, and we have the darkest skies. Then the evening crescents are the following week. Just look west after sunset. And then the first quarter moon is on the 19th. That's the right half is lit up, and you can see it after sunset until about midnight. Then the week after the 19th, you've got the evening gibbous moons, where they're mostly lit after sunset, and then the full moon is on the 27th. So we basically end the month on the full moon. All right, now, the only other event I have to talk to you about, now I already said the last week of February, you've got Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury, but the only other one would be the 18th, which is up here. If you take a look, you can see Orion over here, and then to the right of that is the moon. Who am I kidding? You're going to see the moon first before anything else. But Mars is just about 4 degrees above the moon. So if you have trouble finding Mars, you don't quite know what it looks like yet, looking above the moon on February 18th will be your best bet to find it.
Are there patterns in our skies? Are patterns only in our eyes?
Well, like I said, it's a good month for constellation hunting, so let's start with the hunter constellation himself, Orion. This is very easy to find. It's going to be up in the south, pretty much as high as it's going to get after dinner, okay? So you just go out there and look, and you want to find these 3 stars that are almost in a perfectly straight line, about the same brightness, and they form Orion's belt. And then around that is almost a rectangle of 4 bright stars around it. But if you connect it like this, it looks like a bow tie. Now, Orion the Hunter is right here, and then you take his 3 belt stars. We're going to use this as a guidepost. So you take the 3 belt stars right here, and you follow them to the right, or in this case, up-ish, and you find a bright red star here called Aldebaran, and it's connected to this constellation called Taurus. In fact, let me zoom in on these guys just a little bit so we can get a little closer look there. So you take Orion, 20 degrees, that's 2 fist widths. If you held your fist out at arm's length, the belt would be here, Taurus's V would be about here. And so you see that V of Taurus, and then another 10 degrees you reach the Pleiades, which is looks like a mini dipper, a little cluster of stars, but if you take your binoculars, you can see hundreds. You can only really see 6 with your naked eye, but you can see hundreds with binoculars. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, we can start seeing more of this winter circle, some people call it, where you have 6 very bright stars. Here is Aldebaran, here's Rigel in Orion, the brightest star in the sky, Sirius, which is part of Canis Major, Procyon, which is in Canis Minor, then you've got Pollux and Castor up here, and we move that down, Capella, which is the brightest star in Auriga. And so what you can do is you can basically make a big old circle, or hexagon, I guess, with these stars and help you find the other constellations. So back to Orion's belt. If you go to the left here this time and go 20 degrees, you'll get to the brightest star, Sirius. I think the stick connect the dots will be better in your mind for seeing that as one of Orion's hunting dogs, the bigger one. Up here, these 2 stars are Canis Minor. Why 2 stars looks like a dog, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Orion had to have a second hunting dog for some reason. So that's why. I don't know. And Monoceros is something else. That's kind of hard to see anyway. Gemini up here, though, with the twin head stars up there. You can sort of do this shape here or look up a cooler version, which has, it actually looks like stick figures of people. And then up and to the right, you've got Auriga up here. They say it looks like a charioteer. I have no idea what they're talking about. I think it looks more like a pentagon or a hexagon, but with weird shapes. And then you come back down to Taurus, back to Aldebaran again. And so these are the winter constellations. They're really, really cool. And if you have a telescope, I would highly, highly recommend looking at the Pleiades, or if you have binoculars, look at the Pleiades, look at Taurus, because those are just big bunches of stars. But the cooler thing is, if you look at Orion's belt and then go down, you see his sword here. And I don't know if it's going to come up real well here, but this middle star here, there's the Orion Nebula. It's a little dim up here, but that is a cluster of stars, a stellar nursery where stars are being born. Now, it won't come up as color. Okay, our eyes, when they're dark adapted and at night, they're going to look at that and it's going to be gray so that we can see more details. However, you can see that perhaps with binoculars. It'll be really small, but it'll be there. Or if you have a telescope, you can see it as well. But you just have to imagine, wow, that is a place where stars, big masses of gas, are being pulled together by gravity and basically compressing themselves and turning into stars. Okay, absolutely amazing. But anyway, that is the night sky for the month of February. Not much going on, but always cool stuff, no matter what you're doing. So with that, I'd like to wish you very clear, dark skies for the month of February.